Welcome to the Grief Pie Podcast. This is a show where we motivate and inspire men to share their grief one bite at a time. Thanks for tuning in and adding your voice and stories so that we can all heal and find joy together. Now please welcome your hosts, Gary Scott and James Rafter.
Hey guys, it's Gare, and welcome to another episode of Grief Pie. Two guys sharing grief one bite at a time. And today's episode is Throwback Thursday. We're gonna go back and give you guys a little background on why we're such emotional wrecks and the women that made us that way by frickin' dying. What the heck is that all about? But giving you a little feedback and throwback on our histories with them, how it started and why we are the way we are. So there's my buddy, Jim Rafter, my partner in crime. Love you, man. Are you ready to do this?
Yeah, let's go have some fun. I thought this would be kind of a light topic, fun to give context to everyone listening to us. Again, we get into some heavy stuff sometimes, but I think I've been told, it's fun getting people to get to know us. That haven't known us. I tend to hide a lot, social media-ish wise. So this will give some context to who and what we are, how we got into 30 plus years of marriage, and why we're so deeply committed and passionate about talking about losing, spouses, moms, brothers, dads, all those kind of things. So you ready to fire it off?
Absolutely. Why don't
do
you
wanna
go ahead and give
You're
us
older.
your little
Do you wanna go
backy?
first? Do you want to go first?
You haven't even said anything about my microphone, and I'm hurt by that because
Well,
it's getting its own name now. It's gonna get its own Facebook page.
You know the name I want to give it.
I've had some good ones that I've had to actually delete because it's a family show. So where do you want to go with this? How far do you want to go back?
We can go wherever we go. I think what I'd like to, I think we should definitely just talk about how, because we have two, it's one of the things we always talk about is we're so close and we've had so many things that parallel, but yet that we diverge on things, right?
Yep.
How we loved our wives and stuff. And I think the funny story today is definitely your journey into meeting April and marriage, and my journey into meeting Jennifer and marriage. And I think that's cute. And how far back we go after that? Well, that's up to the producer to edit how much overseas they want to talk about.
Southeast Asia shore leave. I don't know. I'm sorry you're allergic to penicillin. I don't know what they shot you up with to cure it, but that chungo rod I hear is hard to get rid of.
Please don't get me started with punching boards.
So I'm just going to go and give a quick backy because I actually, April for years would like throw knives and spoons and forks at me because I loved telling the story about how we met, right? And after a while, she's like, screw it. He's just going to tell the story all the time, no matter what, right? So it's actually fun for me to tell the story. Real quick, I mean, I'll try not to drag on too long because I know you hate when I get too much camera time. But
I'm just jealous, just because you're so much better at it than I am.
Dude, but you're so much better looking. That's what hurts me. I don't like that you're better looking than me. But it's something I'm going to have to deal with. And you're taller, which really...
I am not tall. I am not taller.
Except when I wear my heels. But so here's the deal. So I was working at Wally's Desert Turtle, a place that you know well. Some great stories out of there. Back in the 80s. And Michael, the owner, who's still a dear friend of mine 40 years later, I was his like little gopher handyman, like doing his little runaround stuff. So he was traveling a lot just around the world surfing. So he had a dude named Dan at Newporter Travel who handled all of his travel arrangements. So I'd go tootle down there and I'd pick up the tickets, and I'd bring them back to Michael. This is way before internet, right? And give it to Michael. So I go tooling down there one day and I am looking like my normal sexy beast. I had just done running. I've got my dolphin shorts on. I've got my tank top. I'm sweaty, greasy, my hair slicked back. I am looking like Al Pacino. Just left like the 80-year-old Al Pacino, not like the young Al Pacino. So, and I've got a briefcase because that's how I roll. So, because I need to put the tickets in the briefcase, right? Like it's like a drug deal.
Yep.
So I go tooling in the Newport of Travel in my dolphin shorts and my briefcase, and I went up to the owner, Susan, said, "Hey, where's Dan? I'm here to get Michael's tickets." And she goes, "Well, Dan's no longer handling Michael's account. April is." And I go, "All right, cool, whatever. Where's April?" And she goes, "She's over there at that desk." So I don't know if you ever saw that I Love Lucy episode. Slowly I turn, step by step, inch by inch. Remember that old I Love Lucy episode? That's exactly how it happened, man. So like I turn real slow, like going to go over to the desk, right? And there she is. And I'm like, ah. I mean, immediately I just float over to her desk, right? And I'm standing there, and I remember this like it's yesterday, right? So I'm like standing in front of her desk, right? And here's this 18-year-old girl, and I'm 21 or 22, whatever. And in my dolphin shorts and my briefcase. And she looks up at me and she's like, "Do you speak? Are you a mute? I mean, can I help you?" And I said, "Well, I'm here, eventually I spoke. And I said, "Well, I'm here, to get Michael's tickets." And she's like, "Well, here, weirdo." And so she goes back to what she's doing, and I'm still standing there. And she looks up again, like, "Can I do anything else for you, psycho?" So anyway, so I go floating out of there. And I went back and I talked to Marcia, who was running the office at the time, and and she goes, "What's wrong with you?" It was right. And I go, "I just saw the woman I'm gonna marry." And she just starts buzzing up. She's like,
That's
"Again? Sure."
Do you have a list going at that point? What?
Yeah.
Right?
So I told her, I said, "No, and so she goes, should call her." So I called and I got the owner and I go, "Can I talk to April?" And she goes, "Yeah." So I passed me through the April. I go, "Hey, I was the guy who was just in there getting Michael's ticket." She goes, "Yeah, I know." And I go, "Do you think we can go out? I could take you to lunch." And it's like October, right? And she goes, "Well, sure. When do you want to go lunch?" And I said, "Well, when we're open for the season, I like work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So can we go like in May?" It's like
Right.
October.
When
And
it's
she's like,
hot.
and she's like, "You're not just stupid in person. You're stupid on the phone too." I'm like, I don't get a lot of time off, right? Anyway, so that was, the beginning of it. We ended up going to lunch in like February. It took that long. There's no cell phones. It's not like we're texting back and forth this whole time. Went to lunch, hit it off, and pretty much as rest is history. We kind of started dating a little bit.
What what
And
what year was that?
wow, 1987. It was like
Wow.
October of 1986.
Okay.
And then yeah, October of 1986, and then we finally went to lunch in February of 1987, and
You were a wild man.
and then I proposed to her that Christmas Eve. Um, Even though we didn't really start dating until Wally's closed in June, so we dated for about 6 months. And I proposed to her. She reluctantly said yes, just so she can get out of the house. Um, and that was it. But the best part is I'm a swinging, wild swinging guy, right? I'm 22. I'm at
You had
Wally's.
dolphin shorts. Why
I got
wouldn't you?
I wear dolphin shorts with an avocado in the front. Chicks dig that. And I work at Wally's as a turtle, so I wear a tuxedo at night because I roll. That's how I roll like that. And I'm a swinging hot guy. And so when I meet her, and she's like, "Well, I'm a virgin, and I'm gonna stay that way until we get married." And I'm like, "Can we get married
Hmm.
tomorrow? How long? How long do you have to wait to get married?" So literally, I proposed to her that December, and we didn't get married until April of 1989. So it was 2 years we were together without the schmirky schmirky boinky boinky, and it's just stressful time for the old Care Bear.
But so then your dad would have been still alive when you got, right?
No, yeah, yeah. He didn't die till 93. Oh
Yeah.
my God, he adored her. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. He freaking absolutely adored. And my mom still cries to this day. Where's my April? Where's my April? So yeah,
Oh, your
my
mom's
my
so cute.
dad my dad was alive and just flipping
Love
adored
your
her.
mom. I don't know how to
Yeah,
do that, but
yeah.
love your
Cougar,
mom.
cougar, cray, cray. Crazy never dies, man. Crazy never dies. So
Love your
that's
mom.
that's my quick tale of how we met, and of course, I could go on from there. So, how did you meet the beautiful Jennifer?
Oh, we have a hoot and a half of a story. I had gotten out of the Marine Corps, um, was doing stuff in Orange County, got involved with a couple of relationships
Now,
where
did your family already had the insurance company, right? So, did you go right from the service into your company's business?
no.
Oh, oh,
No. I was applying to the highway patrol. I was doing a lot of different things, thinking about what I want to do post Marine Corps.
dude, I could
Um,
so see you as a higher patrol
oh,
officer.
I would have been just, dude, I would have been just the worst highway patrol
Oh my
officer
God.
ever.
Jim, you can't drink and drive when you're in uniform.
No, the batoning of the speeders would have been just wrong. Uh,
Pulling over chicks just to get their phone number, which happens to my wife all the time, by the way, because she's hot.
uh,
Yeah, you can't do that, Gemma. I'm
I,
sorry, I
I'm a
digress. Go
motor
ahead.
officer my whole life, but to that point, I got involved with a couple of relationships where it was probably time to leave Orange County, and my little brother had gone to COD, College of the Desert in Palm Desert. And again, for context, Wally's, Desert Turtles, Palm Desert, very high end restaurant. And Gary and I have both big ties to that place. Uh, so my mom had bought a condo in Palm Desert. Matter of fact, across the street from where you live, Portillo del Sol. And my brother was living there, and I needed to get out of Orange County really bad. So I popped on down there for a weekend and decided not to leave ever, and take care of my little brother, which was probably a bad thing. And so I got a job at an air conditioning company in Palm Desert. And one day, so I'm working there for 6 months or something like that. And we end up hiring a receptionist, phone gal that takes the call, the service calls and everything. I was doing purchasing or whatever. And so we hired this gal. She is friggin' gorgeous. I mean, to this day, I remember like it was yesterday or last hour what she wore when she came into her interview. So I wasn't involved in the hiring, but the manager hired her, and she was supposed to start on a Monday in January, right? But she goes, and she's young gal, 20, 21 years old. This is Jennifer, by the way, in case anyone didn't get the reference. So We hire her, and I'm just like ecstatic because I'm like sonar on a submarine.
And your torpedo is loaded.
Torpedoes are in the tube. I, like I hadn't had enough problems as it already was, but
That's why you had to
uh,
run out of Orange County.
I'm running out of states and counties to go to. So so she goes to Big Bear with girlfriends and gets snowed in. So she's like calling in on a Monday saying, "Hey, I can't make my first day of work."
That's a good start.
Well, and I'm like, the manager at the time, his name was Mark. I'm like, Mark, we know it's like 10 feet of snow in Big Bear right now. I mean, we get it. I mean, she'll get here. Just give her a break. And like he's like, no, we're gonna get rid of her. That's just wrong. I mean, she shouldn't have gone up there knowing that she had to start work Monday. Like, you're an idiot. And by the way, she's gorgeous. Please look at me like, keep it in the pants, stop it.
She
So I
wasn't
talked.
she wasn't wearing those tight jeans, was she?
Oh no, she had a red. Oh my, no, she had a red shirt, a black pencil dress and tights and high heels, and her long curly black '80s hair. And I was a done deal, man. I was it was over from that point. Um, so I talk him into keeping her, and letting her just get in by Wednesday or whatever. And so then she comes in, and it
What
was just
year is this?
this would have been 89 because I got out of the service 88. So 89 I ran to Palm Desert. So this was 89. And I we just I don't know how, what, where, why, but it took us about 3 weeks to just fall in love. And I would once we started like doing lunches.
I know about those lunches. I never
And for
had them,
those of
but
you
I know
not
someone who
watching the
had them.
video, I air quoted lunches.
Uh-huh.
And I would bring her a rose every day and put it in her desk drawer.
Ugh. Ugh. Bring her a rose every day.
I
Come
did.
on, dude.
I did. I went full camo deer hunting in a in a blind in the bush going after her. It was all over. So we started dating right away. And um within a few months it was all over. Now we again April, I know she was a virgin going in. Jen, not as much. And so we did have the premaritals, lunch.
Oh my, you guys were sinning?
We sinned. We blasphemed. We did all kind of stuff. Um, and then she may have got a little pregnant. Um, unfortunately, we lost
Can you be a little pregnant?
a little bit. Unfortunately, we lost that baby to a miscarriage. But we had already started planning the wedding. I had, asked Terrell for her hand in marriage. Did you ask uh, April's dad? How did
Oh
you
yeah.
ask April's dad? Did you get
Yeah,
on your knees and
and it's funny because his name's Merlin, and Merlin Ward Picard, and so I call him Merle. I'm the only one who calls him Merle. His name Merlin. Because I'm like you, we're nickname people. That's what's so funny about you guys. You're such nickname people, and we're such nickname people too. So I ask if I can call him, right? So on Christmas, I propose, and on Christmas morning I call him. Now I'd never met the guy or even talked to the guy, right? But Merlin, Merlin, in like talk about a man of few words, right? Like this is how it went. Mr. Picard, yeah. Um, I'm Gary, and I fall in love with April, and I like to ask for her hand in marriage. He goes, well, if this, I know we shouldn't have long gaps on radio, but there's this long gap. Well, if this is all right, I guess I'm all right. That was it, man. I'm like, okay, thanks, bye. He is a man of few words, even to this day.
That is,
So why didn't you, Jen's dad? Why didn't you ask Harold? Why didn't
I
you ask?
did. No, I
Oh,
did.
well, that
But
should.
it was
Oh. Hmm.
it was after the barn had closed the door and the horses were out in the fields. And
Did you
I'm
ask
like,
Harold? I know Harold. So did you ask Harold on the phone, or did you ask him in person?
I asked him in person. And context on my father-in-law.
Oh,
Because again, for all you all listening, we're Coachella Valley guys. Harold was a big produce guy out of Coachella Valley. All his team, that was their thing, was going to Wally's, every New Year's. That's how we got to know your mom and y'all. Jen and her friends had some wild stories of their 18, 19-year-old parties at Wally's for New Year's, and Harold just being a degenerate. And his people, his produce guys. But yeah, so I asked, yeah, I went the full, and I don't even know if we had told them we were pregnant. Um, but um,
well, listen, not
I
to add,
I I
not to add guilt, not to add guilt to the already guilt that you guys already have, but being such a devoted, practicing Catholic, Harold wasn't Catholic, so he didn't care. Was Jen religious? She wasn't Catholic like you were, though,
so
was she?
so she was raised. Harold, again, air quotes, people, Jewish, but he wasn't. Right? His parents were very Jewish. The grandparents, Jen's grandparents, were a jeweler out of East LA, right?
Of course.
So um, Harold grew up in East LA, with his best friends were Don Sterling and Adler, Lou Adler. They all went to high school together.
Yeah, and
Um,
Donald Sterling, for those who don't remember, owned the LA Clippers, San
yeah,
Diego Clippers for a long time and was booted.
yeah,
He he,
yeah.
he got he got $3 billion on the way out the door, so it didn't hurt that bad. But yeah, that Donald Sterling, just in case you're curious.
So they were best friends. They were at our wedding. Not to drop names, but so Harold with this group, right, had to throw this massive wedding. Um, and I think at the time in 1990, I think he spent uh with an open bar over $25,000, which 19 and Jen and
Our entire wedding cost $2,200, and I paid for it myself.
no,
And the entire wedding.
we had our wedding at the Hyatt Grand Champions.
We got
Um,
married right across the street at the Esmeralda.
oh, there you
No, no,
go,
no,
right?
not at the Esmeralda, at the Erewhon Gardens, right across the street
Oh
from
yeah,
you
when it
guys.
was Air One. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, so yeah, her sister was working at the Hyatt, and so we had some connections, and so that's where we got married. And again, just a so Jen had the miscarriage, and it was like, okay, well, I'm not pregnant anymore. What are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. So I'm good to go. We got a party planned. So we just went for it. And no one thought, sorry, nobody thought we would last a month, let alone 32 years, right? Um, but somehow we made it work. And that wedding was the party of the century. So you know how small the Coachella Valley is,
Especially
especially back.
then. Especially then.
Yeah, so there was like two high schools. Everyone went to either Palm Springs or Indio, and everyone knew everyone or hated everyone, right? There was no in between.
Yep.
So Jen had her entire crew, and there must have been 350 people there. That bar bill alone, I think, was 15 grand. Because Harold had to have an open bar, right? He's this big produce guy out, and
Yeah.
all these got the growers, the farmers, the
Well,
shed
who is remember the grape guy? Who is the big grape guy? Oh God, they hung out all the time at Wally's. Oh my
Tommy
God.
Mordick. Tommy
Tommy. Oh my God.
Mordick.
Well,
Yeah.
they would come strolling in with a couple of working girls on each arm, right? And these guys were not handsome men. Okay.
No.
Let's just,
But
and
they
I'm
had for
being really friendly, really kind.
they had Ferraris.
Oh, I don't know how they got in and out of the Ferrari. But so
You know,
Tommy would drop $2,000 or $3,000 for dinner. And this is like, in the 80s, 3 grand, for dinner. So they were
I
they were
got
dropping some cash.
I got to do one Wally's Desert New Year's Eve party with the crew, and that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just the decadent, it was crazy.
Tommy would do this. He'd sit down and he like a rack of lamb, like a normal person would. A rack of lamb was for 2 people,
Yep.
right? You shared a rack of lamb, right? Tommy would order 2 of them for himself, right? And then it would be make sure our glasses are never empty. You never asked Tommy, you never went up and said, "Would you like another bottle of Dom Perignon?" Ever. He would just stare you down. You just brought another bottle of Dom Perignon, right? $300 a bottle. I don't know what it is now. But I mean, you never made if his champagne glass was empty, you were screwed. But he tipped a lot of money, but seriously, they dropped a lot of dough, man.
They were insane. I so that was my first. So we were not extravagant, right? I mean, I grew up in Fullerton and stuff, and my dad had a successful business, right? So I understood success and stuff, but nothing as far as what these guys would drop. And Harold had his what was it? His I can't remember the car. So he had this fancy little car, because he'd be back and forth between Bakersfield, Santa Maria, and the desert
What was
doing.
his drink? He had a special drink too. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
so he would do cranberry and vodka
There you go.
with
Okay.
a lime twist. And interesting with him, once he started having grandkids, he stopped drinking. Really interesting. He kind of gave up
He
that
didn't
life.
stop. He didn't stop eating.
He did not. No, he transferred the drink to the meat. We can have a whole podcast on how not to feed yourself. But yeah, those guys were nuts. So our wedding was all these guys in this crazy time. Because you remember back then, these guys would be up at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, because that's when the LA market opened, and they're selling and shipping all the produce. And then by 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, they're at Cactus Jack's in Indio throwing down vodka
Beverages.
sodas.
Frozen down beverages, adult beverages.
Then they nap, and then they go out at night. And so our wedding was this entire massive group. And then of course the LA group, the East LA group, Lou Adler and Don Sterling, and then all Harold's other buddies from school, that they all stuck together. So our whirlwind first 6, 7, 8 months were crazy, right? So we started dating February, married in September, and then it took us a couple years to have James.
Oh, that's right. Because Jen passed like right at your anniversary, right? Your like 34th anniversary or something like that.
Yeah, so she passed she made sure she didn't screw up our anniversary. So she passed the day before our anniversary. Dude,
So
she always had a plan. Um, so yeah, so that was how we kind of met and got together. Um, so then how long were you and April married before you had Chris?
well, she was a travel agent, and I had summers off, because Wally's closed for the summer. And so we set a plan. We said, look, we are going to travel our butts off, have a bunch of fun for 5 years, and then have kids. Have two boys back to back, close up shop, see you later, Sally. Sally bar the door. So that's what we did. We traveled, we drove all over, we did a lot of fun stuff. And then we said, all right, we started a little bit earlier than the 5 year plan because we were excited to have kids. We knew we were the long term, we knew we were the real deal. So, and I got to have sex. So there was that. Oh, and the honeymoon, real quick. I digress and we get to the kids. Okay, so we're gonna go to Jamaica
Okay.
for the honeymoon, right? And so at the last minute, Eastern Airlines shuts down and we can't go to Jamaica, right? I mean, like at the last minute, we're like, you can't just do that, right? So I'm like, dude, you're a travel agent. Fix this, right? It's your job. I'm a stinking waiter. What do I know, right? So Susan, her owner, has said, hey, listen, there's this new Club Med that just opened up in Hualtuco, Mexico. Hualtuco, Mexico, right? Some shithole that no one had ever heard of. And she goes, I can get you guys a killer deal. Not only will it be less than what you're going to spend to go to Jamaica, but you'll get money back, if you guys want to try the Sudoku. Because she'll get like a travel agent, like check it out deal, right?
Yep.
So we got nothing to lose. Let's just do it. So we go down to Huatuco and we land in this like dirt airstrip and there's federales with like machine guns. We're like, where did you send us? Right. So we're on the honeymoon and it's a Club Med, so it's cool. So you get all the stuff and all the free booze, which is great for me. She didn't drink, but I made up for both of us. So, so the first night, I'm a little tipsy tooty, and we're thinking, all right, we get to, do the biggie, right? Because we haven't done the biggie, and it's our wedding night. Well, it's like 2 days later, and so we're supposed to do it, right? No, it didn't quite we didn't do it.
The cannon wasn't loaded.
Well, the cannon's always loaded, but it's like there was no one on the sideline that said, "We did it." No. So didn't happen the first night. The second night, old Gear Bear's priming the pump. We're gonna do it this time. We are going to do it. I am gonna. We're gonna do it. Darn it! Now, you got to remember, I haven't done it in 2 years. I don't even remember what doing it is. I'm like, you got holes here, you got holes here, there's a lot of holes. I don't know which one I'm supposed to be using. It's been a long time, right? So didn't go the second day. Third day, third night it happened. And of course, there were fireworks. It was the greatest sexual experience of her life. And for all the women who've ever remembered their first time, yeah, it was kind of like that. Except with a drunk, not so talented, short guy.
Again, this podcast is not intended for children to listen to.
I didn't say
Ever.
anything bad. So here's the best part. So we go, okay, well, it'll get better tomorrow night. We'll try it again tomorrow night, right? But old Gare Bear has some seafood salad for lunch that I guess Mexico doesn't have really good refrigeration back then. I am sick as a dog with Montezuma's Revenge or some other revenge, man. And so, yeah, no. So we left Mexico with one shot in the dark.
One night of passion.
Passion, yeah. One miserable night of 37 seconds of frantic lovemaking. And then I don't remember when we got back on that horse, actually. So that was our wedding night. So what was your wedding night, Mr. $25,000 barbell?
Uh, so yeah, ours was a little tamer.
Tamer.
We did not have any money at all, but we had connections to hotels and things like that through Jen's sister, and at the time my brother-in-law, who shall remain nameless, and is no longer part of anyone's family. So my mother-in-law set us up with a limo to take us to Ontario, which was a nice 2-hour nap because we were both exhausted and drunk from the open bar.
Yep.
And we stayed at the Red Lion Inn by the airport.
Know it.
Super great place. Yeah, high end quality. So we got a pretty fancy, and our honeymoon was in Tahoe. And what was the resort? Very fancy resort in Tahoe. Oh, I can't even remember it. Anyway, it was a very fancy resort in Tahoe. And I had to pretend to be my brother-in-law. So everyone knew me as Courtney.
But you guys were sharing the same bedroom? They didn't know it was your wedding night? Yes.
So to get the room rate of, like free, I had to pretend to be my douchebag brother-in-law.
And he is a douchebag. Oh my God.
It's,
He makes Hunter Biden look good.
it was fun. It wasn't anything as dramatic as you. We definitely had already been doing the things. So having sex wasn't like a challenge for us.
I didn't say it was a challenge. I just said I wasn't very good at it. And trust me,
except on the golf course. That was the first time I had to try to push the golf course sex.
The producer is here. She'll tell you I haven't gotten any better in the time since the first time.
But you know Jen, and she does have some psychoses, or had some psychoses. So one of her things was she hates flying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she hates flying more than driving. She hates driving, but she hates flying. She's hated moving. It's just,
and that's why in the end of days you bought her a motorhome to spend the rest of her life in.
Just to torture her. There. So we had the tickets to fly home, and she's like, I don't want to fly home. So I had to go rent a car and drive her down 395 from Tahoe.
Done it.
Down to the desert. Her bitching the whole time. 395, right? 2 lanes, trucks, passing, a whole horrible 9 yards. And
nothing.
She's just
except for the beef jerky shop, there's nothing on 395.
And she preferred, and I had to rent like this crappy little blue Chevy piece of crap. Only thing I could afford.
Really loved that.
And so I'm pulling out cash from our money dance, right? Thanks God for the money dance, right? Basically how we like paid for everything. She made me drive her home. Tahoe.
I love that you had to be Courtney.
Hello, Mr. Home. Can we help you? No.
And stop calling me Courtney. Oh my God.
I had to pretend, because he was a bell captain in the hotel industry, right? And so I had to pretend like I knew all the bell captains and what they did and how they worked.
So this would be 1990 then?
Yeah, this was September 90. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got married in 89, you got married in 90, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the honeymoon was off the charts funny. Nothing dramatic. Um, and then we bought the house right after that. We got home, and I think the market crashed, and we bought a home. So that was pretty awesome.
Was that the one on Eisenhower?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the one
Anytime
that's the one you had to sell when your mom got sick.
yeah, we had to get rid of that when we had to go back to Orange County when my mom got sick.
And that's when I came into the picture.
That's when we met the cutest little button in the world. Well, actually, you helped us, I think, rent it out first
Yeah.
because we had a couple of renters for a while.
Well, because I was working with Gretchen
Yeah.
to help save her from Courtney. And then she said, "Hey, this guy, he sucks, but he's a lot of fun. So why don't you give him a try?" So I think it came down like that, something like that. Like he's a shitty realtor, but he's an okay guy. And that's how we got hooked up.
Sure, if you negotiated the best deals for us over the years, but
Ab-
we had fun
Absolutely.
doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So to go back, so because I had to digress because the honeymoon, I had to get the honeymoon story in there. So we said, okay, we're gonna wait 5 years to have the kids. We didn't because we had Chris in 93. And then we had Zach right away because we always wanted two boys back to back. And and then we decided, we were done. We didn't want any more kids. But so you had James, David, and then Samantha, right? That's the order.
Yeah, so we had James, and none of ours were ever planned. It just, it is. And Jen went through 5 miscarriages. So it
Wow.
was never easy having kids for Jen. She went
Wow.
through a lot of, yeah. So we had James, and then 17 months later, little David popped along. Then we dealt with my mom's death, and then we got lucky to accidentally, you know, find a Samantha in our little world.
Thank goodness
So
for that. She's
yeah,
been a
without
savior
question.
for you.
Yeah, so that was 92, 94, and 97. And then I got officially shut down. Um
You
I
know,
got deep.
it's funny how everything we are together, I never got the snip snip, but yeah, we had 93, 95, and that was it. So our boys were 16 months apart, your boys were 17 months apart.
Yep.
And that's why they were close together in school and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't do the snip snip because I just couldn't do it, and she was gonna do the snip snip. Um, and then she just didn't want to do it. And so we both went snip snips list, and until down the road she had to have a big old hysterectomy, which made having any further critters not going to happen, but what when you said, okay, I'll just go get the snip snip, I couldn't do it, man. I was like, I wouldn't do that to my dog. I'm not doing it.
Well, I prefer calling it decommissioned. But
Being an old
Jen
military guy.
had been going through off and on the miscarriages, and then she ended up with a molar pregnancy, which is kind of a uterus cancer. It was cancerous um, birth miscarriage thing, and I didn't want her going through that anymore, and I didn't need her to go through any big hysterectomies. So yeah, so I just decided to go in for the decommissioning, and
Did
I was
did
done.
did cancer run in her family?
No, not at all.
Hmm.
No, nope,
Yeah.
nope.
It
No,
runs
her
rampant
mom.
through April's family. I mean, there's like
So,
freaking they've
so are
all
your
had
boys
cancer.
are your boys getting checked regularly for stuff now?
They will be, they're 30 and 29 coming up, and so they will be, it's something, that have to be aware of because I mean, like all of April's family is touched by it. It's crazy how it just like wildfire through her family. And we have none on our side of the family. I mean, I got mine, but I mean, mine was kind of a fluke kind of cancer. But yeah, so because I didn't know how Jen had all those challenges. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, but again, she's man, she fought through every one of them. like a champion, even to the final one, the final cancer and stuff. She never bitched, she never moaned. She just handled it day to day. She was amazing. But yeah, so she made sure the kids know that they have to get checked all the time and regular basis. Um, Even though there's really no cancer history. And we went through the whole paneling. I mean, when Jen got diagnosed with the first round in, 7, 8 years ago, um, they did a whole paneling thing on her, and there's nothing in her background. It was just weird, fluky. You got the worst cancer ever you could have, and so
Well, it sure as shit didn't help that they ignored her for all those times. Had
well,
they paid
we
attention to her and caught it sooner.
we will get into that when we get into a healthcare podcast and the crap shit show that is. But
Mm.
I want to keep this one more light about, how we met and how we loved and how we got to this space, 32, 33 years, after we first met these two beautiful, wonderful gals, right?
Well, it's
And
funny. It's funny because typical of us, total love at first sight. Freaking, the Cupid hit us with the arrow. Now, funny story about April, but Jen, I mean, was it mutual?
Well, she was very flirtatious and outgoing to begin with. And she
Hmm.
had her roommates and best friend, and they worked at the Esmeralda. They were pool girls at the Esmeralda prior to her getting the job where I met her at. Uh, and they were pretty wild. Um, Jen was only 21 when we married.
Yep.
Um, and so she was super young. And so she was flirtatious, and once I started giving her the roses every day.
So cheesy, man. So cheesy. Hey, Finn. What's Finnegan doing? He's such a good boy. No, April was not flirtatious, obviously. And she's not a player in any of that stuff. Um, and she was only 18, and when we got married, she was only 20. But there was no love at first sight for her, man. She was like, yeah, because you're not breeding material, because you're not very smart. You're waiting tables. Not that there's anything wrong with waiting tables. Everyone was out there waiting tables, but um, and I was, a greasy playboy. I was a sleazy. I looked like my dad. I looked like Ricky Ricardo. Tan, slick back hair, dolphin shorts.
I don't want to hear the dolphin short story anymore.
And if you don't wear a jock strap when you jog with dolphin shorts, it's just ugly. That's all I'm saying.
You don't want
But
the danglies dangling.
no, you don't want the name. But no, so it was no love at first sight, man. So, and the thing is, I had no time to court her. I didn't send her freaking a rose every day. I was a dummy who'd call up and say, I think I've got like 20 minutes next Thursday, the 13th, if you've got time to meet. And she's like, you're just like the stupidest person I've ever met. I was
No,
not suave.
I think Jen and I's first date, air quotes people, if you're not like paying attention, was remember BB O'Brien's?
Oh yeah, we talk about BB. Me and Alicia talk about BB O'Brien's all the time. Lots of great memories of BB's.
So Jen's like, well, me and my friends are going to BB O'Brien's. Come on out and hang out with us. And so I, hop on my motorcycle. Back then I was riding motorcycles and, you
You
know,
were Maverick. Wow, I had no idea.
oh, leather jacket, boots, jeans. I
Man,
played the role, man.
how could she resist?
Well, so I get there and she's got holding court with 9 guys around her.
Well, she was hot.
Why am I here?
I have no idea. I have no idea why she picked you. I have no idea why April picked me. I mean,
Like,
let's face it, they definitely went low. They could have shot high, way higher.
because I had gotten out of the Marine Corps and I had gotten rid of my high and tight and just let my hair grow. So I've got flowing, and you don't see it now.
Flowing? Were you
Flowing
Fabio?
locks,
Did you
flowing
look like
locks of
Fabio? Were you on the cover of like romance magazines?
should have been now only in Louisiana with my mullet.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I had no idea, but I did get a kiss that night, and but she to the story is always, well, she was also chasing these other guys, and somehow, she ended up with me, and the rest was history.
oh.
I showed up at the bar, and yeah, she was holding court with her and her friends. It was pretty
Yeah, but
funny.
she picked the best.
You know what? I don't know if I'm the best, but I got the best.
Right.
So
We did. We
yes.
both did. We both did. Well, this has been a fun little
I
tour
told you it would be fun,
down
right?
memory lane. And of course, I know you and I both remember this stuff like it was yesterday. I mean, I especially do, especially walking into Newport or Travel to get those tickets. I remember standing there like it was yesterday. Um, and I know exactly where we had our first date and what we had and so on and so forth. And so it was kind of funny, but yeah, yeah, this was a good idea. It gives people an idea to know how this started, why it's emotional for us, a little bit of what it was like back in the early days. We'll share more of it, but yeah, this is good.
I know, I agree, bud. Again, it's very cathartic for me because I like going back and thinking about the beginning, the fun times, and getting out of my head on the last few years, right? Like you probably do. Um, I prefer to remember the great times, and I love being able. Thank you for doing this with me, because it helps me um remember what it was all about and why the battle the last 3 years was worth it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, and we forget. I forget all the time. I'm year 9. Your year just over 1. And so many of the things that we'll be sharing coming up are about all the tough stuff, so it's so nice to go back and just kind of have a laugh and remember how silly we were and how young we were. I could visualize the pictures of us in Mexico on our honeymoon, the wedding. It's just really nice, to go back. Because like you said, the you know, seeing Jen at the end, seeing April at the end was just so horrific. Jen was such a beautiful, vibrant gal. She still was piss and vinegar at the end, though. She didn't lose that. April was too, but it's just, to see what cancer can do to people is such a brutal, wicked thing. So this was good. Remember us when we were young? You had
yep.
flowing Fabio hair.
And
I was a young Ricky Ricardo.
I don't want to hear dolphin shorts ever. I'm gonna go to bed tonight and I'm gonna picture you in dolphin shorts and I'm gonna need to go take a cold shower. It's just wrong.
I'm gonna find a picture and post it. It's something to behold.
So for everyone listening, I think again, fun romp with Gary and I today doing this. And I think if you're going through these challenges, if you've gone through them and you're trying to find a reboot of happiness, it's okay to do a remember when and go back and relive the best times, on how you grew together and all those kind of things. It's okay to remember when. Once you get to be 75, 80, you don't want to do the remember wins because that just gets annoying to everybody. But if you're but you can always do the remember wins.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, man, this was fun. I can't wait for the next episode. But again, everybody, this is Grief Pie on a Throwback Thursday. And this is two guys sharing grief one bite at a time.
Bite
And we
at a
love
time.
you sharing, liking, not liking, comments. Let us know what you think. And hope you'll listen in again, right, Jim?
Yep, we're gonna be here. Give us a shout out. We're open to whatever y'all want to talk about. Love you.
Absolutely. All right. Love you, brother. I will see you on the other side.
See ya on the backside.
See ya.
This has been our weekly broadcast, brought to you by the Grief Podcast Studios. We can be found in audio-only format on all the popular podcasting platforms. Remember to like and subscribe and to hit that alert button so you don't miss any episodes. Thanks again, and until next time, treat yourself gently. And don't bite off more than you can chew. Healing is a process.